We're Batman at 89.
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute 89, the podcast where we analyze, scrutinize, and shine a giant burning beacon of justice onto Tim Burton's 1989 Batman movie, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And lifting the shadow of darkness from your heart, it is I, John Parker.
I'm Ralph Attanasia from TV's Cake Boss. How you doing, fellas?
Oh, very good. Very excited.
Yeah, thanks for joining. We could not possibly have given you a worthy enough introduction.
But here, we're here to talk about minute 116 of Tim Burton's Batman, which begins with Commissioner Gordon cracking a joke, inappropriately enough, and it ends 1 minute later with the bat signal, the iconic bat signal, blazing a trail in the sky. So, yeah, let's dig on in, I guess.
You know, that didn't register to me as a joke until you pointed it out as one.
Really?
Because it's very sad.
I was kind of annoyed with him because it's like the whole city's been seized by terror for so long. And then as soon as the guy's dead, he's just like, hey, it's no longer a laughing matter, am I right?
Yeah, not even like it was good-natured hijinks either. People died gruesomely.
Yeah.
On television.
It's like if, after they caught Bin Laden or something, like George Bush came out on TV and it's like, Bin Laden, more like Bin Gone, am I right? And everyone was just like,
oh, God, So clearly you don't live in the United States. That's what almost every headline was at the time. Like, Bin Laden been found and been killed and been thrown in the ocean.
Okay, so maybe what he's doing here then isn't too unrealistic.
No.
This gag is perfectly fine in America. Clearly, we're just thinking about it in too much of a British and Irish context.
Yeah, you just see like the Knox is watching going, that was my headline. Damn it, he stole it.
Now, I also thought, I didn't realize for years it was a joke. I didn't realize it until I was making the notes for this. And I was sitting here thinking, what does he mean public safety is no laughing matter? Like, was it a laughing matter before? Like, why would you consider public safety to be something so, like, throwaway? And it dawned on me, he's making a Joker gag. What the hell?
The fact that 2 out of 3 of us didn't register this as a joke is just evidence that it's not a very good joke. So, did you guys heard about how they're what's his face is producing a 1980s Joker origin movie?
Oh yeah, the Scorsese.
Yeah.
I'm in two minds on that. I don't know if it's gonna. Why would you bother? Why?
Now, I don't want to sound like just the biggest ass on the planet, but isn't that what this movie is?
Yeah, that's exactly what this movie is. What more do you want?
Like, I don't think we had a Joker origin before this movie.
No, well, not in film.
Was the
sure.
Red Hood thing, was that before this or after?
Yeah. The Red Hood story was introduced like in the comics in like the 50s or 60s, and then it was sort of forgotten about. And then you had the Killing Joke came out like a couple of years before this movie. So yeah, it was one of those things. It was around there, but it was mostly forgotten until it became like really popular again in the 80s. This is the Joker's origin story now. Apparently, and even nowadays, people are more like, "Well, is it his origin story? Did he, can you trust what the Joker's telling you, and all this kind of stuff?" So,
Oh, sure.
I wouldn't mind if they did because it's Scorsese. I'm more to like, "Oh, you never know, maybe it'll be interesting." But then he's only producing, so it's like, well, maybe he's just sort of like collecting checks and been like, just do whatever you want. I don't care, It's not,
I'm sure I read the other day as well, as of recording at least, everything could change by the time you hear this. I'm sure I read that they're going to set up his backstory where he is a comedian. I never like it when they do that. I don't like that story.
Yeah.
It's boring and it's too simple and on the nose. Oh yeah, he's a stand-up comic and he becomes evil. Okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah, I mean, just take all of the mystery. Like, take anything interesting out of it too. Like, make him an albino to start with. So,
yeah.
Hey, he's this pale comedian, and then he turns into a bad clown.
Well, that's the thing with like the Jared Leto Joker is that he is borderline like this skin discoloration on him is so slight that you can't even really tell that it's that much difference.
He kind of looks like that anyway.
Yeah, it's just like, oh, it's a bit pale. Whereas it's like, Jack Nicholson, something happened to him. Heath Ledger's obviously wearing makeup. But, like, Jared Leto's Joker is more like, I don't know if this was a deformity that would have driven you insane. Because it just looks like you've got some, Hot Topic hair dye. And, like, you just happen to be a bit pale. And it's like, I don't know if you'd...
I don't know. If I got those tattoos, I would have lost my mind as well.
Yeah, I don't know. I still haven't seen Suicide Squad, so I don't.
You don't need to.
You're not missing out. Don't worry.
Yeah, I have to tell you, like I watched Man of Steel, and I thought it was kind of a lukewarm, sort of forgettable kind of a fart.
Yeah, that's a good.
It's
summary.
not. Yeah, it's not terrible. It's just badly misguided in places and largely kind of boring.
Well, don't wander over to the DC cinematic minute over there. Although I'm sure they've been probably taking crap from like everyone the entire run. So
don't tell them I said that. I did a couple of minutes of that movie with them, and I told them I was okay with it.
You said, "Oh, I love it. It's my favorite."
I didn't say love, but
we had that when me and John were on the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation Days.
Oh,
they did
God.
a while back, and like we had, during the week we would both watch the movie, and we're like saying to each other in private, like, "Oh, it wasn't really good, was it? It was kind of a bad movie." But then when we're on, we wanted to be polite, and we're just like, "Oh no, it was pretty good. It was pretty good." And then we listened to like an episode before ours when Neil Brown was on, and he was just dumping on it openly. And I was like, "Oh, you can just get away with coming on." I'm like, "This film's a fucking pile of shit. What the hell's about? Why would you make a podcast?"
If only
about this?
we'd known.
Oh well, yeah. Well, at least the show was good.
have you guys ever met anyone named Alexander who went by Allie?
No.
Now this offends me greatly, right? Because I brought this up before. She called him it once before in the movie, and it sickened me to my core. And now she's done it again, so it's become a thing.
Yeah.
That's like that's his cute little name.
If my name were Alexander, I think the only time I would accept being called Allie would be like immediately post-coital. Because you can get away with a lot of like in that moment. Yeah, like you could call me like Snooky Pookums or like Trump supporter or anything in that moment, and I'm not gonna flinch.
Yeah.
But that window of time is really short.
Yeah, we got our sort of goodbyes between Vicki and Knox here. I do like actually as Vicki's turning away from the crowd to walk off. There's an extra who's really trying. Like you can see this kid in like a red cap, and he's doing the kind of like turns to look at her, and he's just like doing a double take of like what's happening here. And you can tell in his mind it's like, oh, it's just extra work, but I'm gonna give it my all. Like I'm gonna make sure that I'm noticing this thing.
I'm gonna make an impression.
Yeah, I get it. Like I've been an extra. That's what I was doing. It's like I'll just do anything just to see. The camera picks it up, and then you just be like, that's your thing for the rest of your life. I can know that guy is probably like, yep, I'm the kid in the red cap at the end of Batman. What about that, huh? And people.
Are you suggesting he goes to conventions and signs autographs as the kid in the cap at the end of Batman?
Hey, if I bumped it, he told me that, I'll be like, what? And like, I have nothing but a wealth of questions for him.
You know what? If that kid is actually doing that, then I should start doing that.
Yeah. Well, were you an extra in something, or?
No, just from the show. I don't like. It just never occurred to me that was something I could do. Now I'm thinking.
Oh,
Of course.
I think if I was an actor, I would really want to get just one Star Wars movie, and not even a big part, but just be like one of a guy in an X-wing.
Oh,
because
anything, right?
Yeah, because you can dine out in that. That's you for conventions the rest of your life. Like you can. You mightn't be rich, but you could squeak by with not really having to work, because it's like, well, no, just go to conventions like every week and be like, hey, how's the Star Wars? And people will come to you.
Yeah, even if you're just like someone in the cantina or whatever, like the guy who was Boshek, I'm sure is getting, like dined out on that forever.
Oh, totally.
Hell yes.
He had those magnificent sideburns.
Oh, I was envious. I always wanted those. Like I used to go to the hairdresser and be like, what do you want? And I'd just point at like a picture of sideburns like that. I'd be like, I want these. These.
So you bringing a picture of a Boshek in with you.
The hairdresser, of course, had to explain to the child version of me, you kind of have to grow them. They don't just, I can't cut them in. Like, that doesn't work.
So just going to transplant some hair from the top down to the side of your face. And you're done. But we do have here Knox, trying to chasing after Vicki, who this is her whole thing now. She's just sort of disappearing, like she's done. And he's like, what's the aren't you supposed to be covering this conference? Oh well, what about our Pulitzer Prize? What about us?
Well, was that Robert Wool? Is he here too?
It was he did call in. He left us that audio.
That was astounding. I thought you were playing a clip from the movie for a second. I didn't realize that you were doing. You did that?
Yeah. Actually, I suppose maybe we could cut this out from the final episode. But
no,
no, not the thing I'm about to say, because I don't know if it'll be like, should we say this publicly? But we got in touch with Robert Wool via Twitter, and he agreed to come on the show at one point. And
did he?
He did. And I've got a screenshot of it because I was like, if this doesn't happen, I want to at least prove to people that it did. And he was like, yeah, great. That sounds amazing. And then I think what might have happened is he listened to a few episodes of us ripping the shit out of Knox constantly and just talking about how annoying he was. And then he didn't reply to any more messages. And it's just like, oh well.
Well,
and let me say, would it not have been this minute?
It would have been. It would have been this minute. And I think maybe because one of the last messages I did give to him was like, well, it'll be this minute because that's all we got left. And maybe he was thinking we were early days in the film and he would do some. But this is a pretty big scene for Knox, so I don't understand what his problem would have been. But
well, speaking of Knox, I love the way he comes running over, still smitten for one last final desperate attempt, to get Vicki. He's like, right, here I go. This is my last shot. What about us? There is no you two. There never was.
Talk about when you and Vicki are together. You ain't got no future, Knox.
Yeah, there's only you two there if you badly misspell us.
But I do like though. He's almost doing that out of habit because as soon as he says like, "Oh, what about us?" he does do a little eye roll to himself of like, "Oh, who am I kidding?" Like he knows still. "Oh, I'm not. Like, why did I even mention that? I know I've not got a chance in hell of doing this."
I suppose he's established that as his character now. He's like, "Hey, I'm the guy who flirts with you all the time. That's my thing."
Yeah.
So I had a real hard time with women until I was about 27, 28 years old, I'd say. Because of characters like this. Yeah, like I grew up watching the hell out of MASH, and I just thought that was what you were supposed to do.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. It's
which, is harassment.
Yeah.
100%. All he does in this movie is harass Vicki.
Right.
Yeah.
But that was what I was raised with. That was what I thought I was supposed to be doing. I was like, I don't understand. This always works in movies.
Oh, to be fair, it doesn't with Knox at least. So I think maybe it's the one thing Tim Burton was like, no, I'm gonna show that these assholes don't actually get the girl. Like it's
right. You have to be much, much crazier and richer for that to work.
Yeah. But that's the thing, though, because he brings up now, he says, like, oh, well, what about your picture of Batman? Which was the entire reason that Vicki Vale came to Gotham, was, like, because she likes bats. And she wanted a picture of Batman. But this brings up to me, like, she's just taken off. And, like, I guess what's she done, though, for the paper? Because I don't understand how her job works. Like, she landed in, sort of chose her own assignment as like, I'm hotshot photojournalist Vicki Vale. I've come in from Cordo Maltese, and I'm covering Batman. And the paper went, okay. And then she's delivered them essentially nothing. Like, she didn't give them a picture of Batman, because Batman took the photos that she had of him. I guess she did give, like, she gave the information about cracking the Joker's toxin. So I guess maybe, like, oh, yeah, that you've earned your keep, you've earned your money right there. But then after her just go, like, no, I'm not doing that anymore, and walk away. You think the newspaper would be more like, no, you're here, like, you're under contract to get a picture of Batman. That's what we're paying you for, and
she probably knew that she would be she probably knew that she'd be inconvenient to have around during a sequel because nobody wants to see a relationship continue and grow. They just want to see the hero get the girl, and if you already have the girl,
yeah. I'm really curious about, like, Deadpool 2, considering that entire first movie was all hooking Deadpool up with Inara from Firefly, and I'm like, no, this is the grand romance this entire movie's built upon. I know she's in the sequel, but it's like, is she just gonna get like a two scene, like, yep, that's my girlfriend, and let's go off and completely ignore that relationship now because it doesn't matter anymore. We're gonna go off and do something completely different.
Yeah, I would be really disappointed if that were the case because that that romance is kind of what the whole first one hangs on, and if nothing comes of it, I'll be
Yeah.
a little disappointed.
Yeah.
It's a tough line to draw as well, though, because you don't want it to be essentially a full romance movie. Like, I'm not sure, you need to kind of... That's tough. How do you write that? Because, you can't... You don't want to just have her hanging around doing nothing. That's disrespectful to the character.
Yeah.
Oh, God, I don't envy them with
Yeah.
that one.
I mean, like, people, because I think it's coming out quite soon, so a couple of months people will be like, what are you talking about? It's like the most romantic movie ever made, Deadpool 2. But,
It's the new Sleepless in Seattle.
yeah, so people, just so we know, we're recording this in March of 2018 for future reference, so it hasn't come out yet, all right?
Holy crap, is it March already?
Yeah. Oh,
Somehow, yeah.
it's near mid-March, is the thing. It's like, it's creeping up, like, to the 15th, which is the halfway point. Like, Jesus, where's the time going? But
But
I have not been paying attention. You know who's in this minute? Billy D. Williams.
yes.
yes.
We got
Lando
William
himself.
December Williams.
You know, Vicki and Knox are saying goodbye, but this is our goodbye to Billy D. Williams this minute for the entirety of this Batman franchise, up until the Lego Batman movie, where he gets like, I think like 2 or 3 lines or something as Two-Face in
Yeah.
that. But yeah, this
That's
is
the second Lego movie he's in too.
Oh yeah, totally.
'Cause
Oh,
he's
of course,
Lando in
yeah.
the Lego movie.
Yeah.
I didn't even
Yeah,
think about
no.
that.
But yeah, he's Harvey Dent in this, and then he's horribly disfigured so that he looks like Tommy Lee Jones.
That is a bit of a downgrade, let's be honest.
Yeah, man. Tommy Lee Jones. See, now, not to. I hope he's not listening to this. Tommy Lee Jones has exceptionally bad skin to start with, so to make him a guy where like half of his face is all scarred up, it's like,
Didn't need to do too much. No.
Yeah, I think that's maybe why they
Yeah.
had to go so insanely flamboyant with it. It's like
Like-
oh, more. Damn it.
you already look like a white orange peel, but wrinkly.
You know, Vicki kisses Knox goodbye. He gives her like a little, like, oh, he's astounded that he got a peck on the cheek. And then, of course, Harvey Dent starts reading out, a letter from Batman they received this morning.
Ooh.
Batman saying, "Dear Gotham, I wrote you, but you still ain't calling." And no, it doesn't go like that. But yeah, 'cause actually, it's a very poetic message. That, like, I wonder how long Bruce spent writing that, because it's all this,
Well,
Gotham's.
this was my question. Do you think Bruce wrote it? Because I think Alfred wrote it.
Yeah, there's no way Bruce wrote that, right?
Not a chance in hell. Come on. This Bruce, he's not... I know he's brooding, but he's hardly like kind of Edgar Allan Poe reading a goth kid,
Yeah.
kind of, like writing his own poems. It's Alfred, isn't it? Going through his extensive classic...
It's just Bruce at one point was like, Alfred, I don't know, write a note to go with this. Let them know they can use the light that I left.
yeah.
I wonder though, like maybe Bruce, like, he splashed out and through, like, using various, aliases and whatnot. He was like, oh, I'll get like David Mamet to write this for me, or like he went to like top screenwriter or like William Goldsmith or something. Like, I need like a really really good little speech here. And then he's just like, he managed to get some guys like, oh, some anonymous guy who clearly is Batman has asked me to write this thing for them. He's paid me like $5,000 to do it. It's only like 10 lines long.
I think people should use the end of it on their Tinder profile because it sounds fantastic. If the forces of evil should rise again to cast a shadow on the heart of the city, call me.
That's good. That's a good line.
That's a very conditional set of circumstances to get a response on Tinder, though. Like, I seem nice, but, no force of evil shadows. I'm just going to...
Is there not? I think most cities at the moment, most of the world.
I just wonder if Batman had been a bit more conditional. Of like, should that happen, except on like Thursdays between like 7 and 9, and I like Sundays off, so like not too late on a Saturday night if that's okay, and like
Plays bridge on a Monday.
and then eventually it's like at the bottom he's just like, you got police, you just make the police do their jobs, all right? Like, just leave me alone and don't use the signal, all right? Just leave it alone.
What signal? What are you talking about? We all know Batman has a phone
Oh.
directly to the mayor and the police. Clearly. Oh, wait, no, that's the wrong movie.
Yeah. I do wonder, though, because we have Mayor Borg and Commissioner Gordon here at the sides. You think, like, oh, the mayor should be reading this. I wonder if they specifically wanted it to be Harvey Dent who reads it, because when he says, like, should the forces of evil rise again to cast a shadow upon the heart of the city, it's an indication of like who will these forces of evil be? Two-Face at some point. It's Harvey Dent is going to be one of the things that's they need the bat signal for is to come take care of him.
I'm sure you guys know this, but in Batman Returns, the Max Schreck character was originally meant to be Harvey Dent.
Yeah, that's the
And then when he gets like tasered in the face, that was supposed to be when he gets Two-Faced, and then in the third one, he would be like the villain as Two-Face.
Oh, that would have been so good.
Right,
It
like something
upsets
that
me
made
every
sense.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like, I do wonder though if Billy D would he have gone down the Tommy Lee route of like would have been from like this Harvey Dent we see, and then he's just showing up doing the whole "let's start this party with a bang" and like really zany, crazy villain, or would he been like, no, I'm gonna make it like he's gonna be like a damaged, twisted version of the guy you already saw, or what?
I'd love to have seen that.
Well, tragically, well, you never know now because there seems to be more than ever. A lot of talk of people like, they should really get Tim Burton back to do like another Batman movie with Michael Keaton. Let's just continue
Have
that
they
on.
seen any of the movies that Tim Burton's made in the last 20 years?
I think maybe that's why they're like, well, just let him, just maybe if you get him back to a good place, he'll somehow.
Yeah, maybe we can save Tim. We will help you, Tim. We will help you.
But a while back, though, I did mention a few actors who were, allegedly up for playing Harvey. But I've stumbled across now an updated list of people who are allegedly up for playing Harvey Dent. And it goes...
Suck it to me.
Eddie Murphy.
Okay.
Danny Glover. Denzel Washington, which actually totally be on board for that.
I could see that. That'd be good.
Ving Rhames.
Ooh.
Yeah. Keith David, which I would love just because I just love seeing Keith David in anything. So I was like, yeah, just by all means, give him whatever he wants. Richard Pryor, which is I don't know about that.
Oh, I'm not too keen on that one actually. I don't think it would have worked.
No, not at all. No. I don't think that's going to be like, particularly with all the controversy already of having Michael Keaton as Batman. Like the storm that caused, and then to turn around and be like Richard Pryor's Harvey Dent. I think people will be like, "What? Oh, come on, guys!"
Yeah, that's like just hearing it. It's definitely whack. But I mean, Michael Keaton, he was real good.
Yeah. Well, maybe they would have managed to pull it off twice in the one movie, but and then Carl Weathers, which
from Aliens. Right? Or do I always get him confused?
No, Carl Weathers.
He's
like
in Aliens.
Apollo Creed.
Nope. Yep. I always get him and the guy from Aliens confused.
Yeah, I know you mean. Yeah.
Man, I do that every time.
But then, the people who almost still do it today, like Sam Jackson and Lawrence Fishburne, apparently.
Fishburne. I'd like that. That'd be good.
Yeah. Although I think Fishburne now he's Perry White, so I think it'd be a bit weird for him to turn up. It's like, hey, I'm also Harvey Dent, and just like, all right, yeah, fine. People just like seeing Fishburne so much. They're like, that's fine, just whatever.
No, I like it. Lean into it. Have them do scenes together.
Yes.
And then have the Two-Face with the split personality. So there's three people in the room.
Oh, or if they're always talking about what good friends they are, and how they're always just leaving each other's office, but you never actually see them in a scene together.
I would prefer that.
Val, sit down. I just had the DA in here.
I'd definitely prefer that because otherwise it would lean into almost being Eddie Murphy territory, and we would have to cast him, and he would have to play like 20 parts in the damn movie.
I always love it though. Like that was Tim Burton actually did. He's like, I'm making another Batman movie, and then he heard that idea and he screwed over Billy D again by going, "No, I've heard this whole getting Lawrence Fishburne in to play the part." Idea, and then having him be the same Perry White from the other Batman universe, just to make it even more confusing. Because so he's still Perry White in this version of the DC universe and the Ben Affleck one, and now he's also Harvey Dent. What the hell's going on in this?
Tim Burton's Batman 3 was going to have Eddie Murphy as every character.
I actually would want to see it. I would hate it, but I want to see it at the same time. Do you think Eddie Murphy, in his spare time, when he's bored at home, just makes movies himself?
You
mean
like
every part?
Like when you're a little kid and you make a radio show because you have a tape recorder and you just do all the voices?
Or you're a 31-year-old man and you do a podcast.
Pretending to be a guy from a reality show.
Yeah, and then so we do get Harvey saying, call me. And then Knox asks, like, the very valid question, oh, how do we call him?
I told you on the phone.
That there's a red phone that just goes to Batman.
Exactly. That's how you call him. That's why he installed it. God damn it. No one's listening.
Again, you guys don't live in the U.S., but most houses have a red phone that goes directly to Batman in the coastal northeast of the United States.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. I don't know. I do think, though, because the red phone's obviously synonymous with the 1960s Batman show. And I believe elsewhere on the podcast we have said, like, oh, there was no bat signal in the 60s show. But that's actually that's not correct. I've looked into it further. Apparently, a couple of episodes where the bat signal's used. It was used in the episode The Sandman Cometh, when Bruce Wayne and Dick Grayson are away on a camping trip. And then it's also used in the pilot episode, High Diddle Riddle. So there you go. They did actually use the bat signal. But I guess, again, because it's probably like, oh, it's daytime, and a lot of that. So where are you going to shine it?
Oh, yeah, daytime.
And so I guess you had to think of like, plus maybe they just didn't want to have to bring out, pay to do the special effect of it every time. They're like, forget it.
Yes, Batman, famous for running around in the day.
Hey, guys, how the hell did he get that there?
That is an excellent question. He hasn't got the Batwing anymore, so he couldn't have flown it over and dropped it off.
Did he hitch it to the back of the Batmobile and drive it up in front of City Hall after a citywide reign of terror?
Or did he send it in the mail, which would have been brilliant? I want to see Gordon opening the parcel, unboxing this thing.
This is, again, if you get a ghostwriter for your letter to the mayor, it's pretty obvious that you're Batman after the fact.
Well, I think actually the answer to that will be the same answer for the letter. Is like Alfred. He just gave it, Alfred, you do that somehow. Just deliver that giant signal thing. And I'm busy. Just you go and do it.
He makes him do everything else. That wouldn't surprise me one bit.
Alfred's Batman half the time. Bruce Wayne doesn't do anything.
That also would not surprise me. I think I said on an earlier episode, actually, I've got one of the recent comics where Alfred actually does dress up as Batman as a distraction tactic. So it has been done.
Yes, I mean, that's why all the stress of it's doing that and looking after Bruce and the whole Wayne estate. The Alfred in this is only 36 years old, but he's just so damn stressed all the time.
See, at the point that you're dressing Alfred as Batman as a distraction, that's when he becomes Woodhouse from Archer. That's when he's just an old man that you're abusing callously for no reason.
Yeah.
That's all he does in this anyway, to be honest. Who's cleaning that entire mansion? Who? That old bloody man is having to do all that on his own. There's no staff.
You'd think there would be staff.
You'd hope there was staff.
But you never see him.
No. Exactly. Particularly, I guess the returns. It is just this cavernous, huge, empty house with just Bruce Wayne in it. So, but before we get to the big moment of this minute, I should mention as well that because this is the last we see of Knox in the whole movie. There was in the OG script, classically Knox died, and there actually was a final scene to send him off. Which I think will be of interest to us because it just says, Cemetery Day. Vicki at a fresh gravesite. She places a floral arrangement in the urn at the head of the grave, stands back to examine it, then bends once more to reposition the drooping flowers, and then says, I loved you too. And then it just pans up to reveal that it was Knox's grave. No way did she love him too. What the hell is this about? That's pure, after the fact. Oh, no, yeah, I was, that's just a guilt. I love you too. That's absolute, that's grade A bullpup.
It's unearned. Also, he's not an important enough character or a bad enough character or a good enough character for him to, his death to mean anything to the movie, really.
No.
You know what I mean? If he was a really great guy, he died, he'd be like, those sons of bitches, they killed they killed Alexander Knox. Allie!
Yeah.
Allie!
Our beloved Allie!
Or if he was a real turd and he was on the take or he screwed someone over, he'd be like, good, I'm glad you're dead. But that's not what they're doing. He's just fluff. he was the kind of character that you had in the 80s where like that was a comic character, but sensibilities have changed a lot. It's like when I show Ghostbusters to people who were born around 1990 who'd never seen it before, they don't like Venkman.
Whoa, what?
Especially women, because he is a straight up creep.
Yeah, no, I can understand that coming from like a modern perspective. He is. He's not only is he a bit of a creep, he's a dick to his friends as well. So it's like, yeah, like what was the charisma of this guy? Like it's a bit of a mystery nowadays.
He electrocutes some guy in the first scene of the movie. He's electrocuting some guy so that he can have sex with one of his students.
Yeah, you wouldn't give that kind of personality to one of your heroes in a movie now. I don't think.
The hero, to like your leading man. He's the romantic and action lead of that movie.
I like the way the sequel kind of acknowledges these things about him, though, by instantly sort of making it apparent that they split up in the meantime. Because that is exactly what would happen if those two characters got together. Yeah. That wouldn't last.
That's the thing, because he never gets a learning arc, though, Venkman. Like, he doesn't learn anything in the first movie. And then they break up in the second one. Then they get back together, but he's still the same guy. Like, he doesn't have to change. He doesn't have to step up or do anything. It's just like, just same guy going through the motions.
He changes the diaper. That's learning.
But I mean, also, Bill Murray looks a little bit like if you put a Keebler elf in a food dehydrator. And we're meant to believe that he's hooking up with just perfect Sigourney Weaver.
Yeah.
It is strange. It is odd. He's not. I don't want to be mean, but he's not the most handsome man, is he? In fact, that's a question we ask a lot of our guests, and since he's not in this minute, we'll just ask it now. Screw it. Right. Basically, we ask a lot of our guests if they think that Jack Nicholson is supposed to be sexy.
Oh, I mean, when he was younger, certainly, right?
Yeah, that's what I keep thinking, like mid-70s Jack Nicholson. Like, oh yeah, he was like a real, women would have posters up of him in their rooms and stuff. But
really,
is that true?
That's what I always assumed. That's what I always thought. But we've had a very mixed response to this. And I say mixed, a lot more leaning towards no.
I mean, but you got, especially in the 70s, like he's going to be competing with the likes of like, just off the top of my head, Sam Elliott was real handsome in the 70s. Or
like Robert Redford, all these guys.
Yeah,
like, the
Magnum PI. What's his name? I can't think of his name.
Tom Selleck.
Yeah, Jesus. You get those guys.
Yeah, it always disturbs me that Tom Selleck is supposed to be sexy.
I don't know if I can find Tom Selleck sexy. My dad now, like, not that he finds him sexy, but he.
Tom Selleck. Is that where we're going?
Well, the thing is, my dad really, really loves Tom Selleck now. I don't. It's just because of
in that way.
Maybe so. I don't know, because he's just guy watches Blue Bloods 24/7 now. Like, it's every time you come in, you get this like the TV, the TiVo box, and it's just stacked with hours of Blue Bloods. And he's just like, I really like that Tom Selleck. Can you download me some of his films and stuff? It's like, Jesus.
I think he's a bit too into Tom Selleck by the sound of it. You need to step in.
Oh, believe you me, like I've already tried interventions, but like, what about Harrison Ford? He's pretty cool, right? No, it's all Tom. That's all I want.
Tom Selleck should have been Indiana Jones.
Yeah. What about Robert Wool? Come on, are you joking me?
So I have this idea. It's not really a theory, and it's not really related to what we're talking about.
Go for it.
But I believe that Powers Booth was actually Tom Selleck when he wanted to be scary.
Oh.
And at a certain point, he just got too old for that and so he said, Powers Booth is dead.
It's just like, he's done the Stephen King, Richard Bachman thing of like, there's another. But now, like a couple of years' time, the Powers Booth will pop up in a movie. And I was like, the Powers Booth was, he was still doing movies that we've just found in his attic and stuff. And,
my God.
No, he shot this performance 10 years ago.
Doing the old 2-pack business of like, but just apparently we have more material that he didn't release when he was alive than he ever did, at the time. So, we got 10 more Powers Booth movies just ready to come out.
We've blown this thing wide open.
And should mention, though, as we say goodbye to Robert Wool, classically...
Bye, Robert Wool.
Yeah, classically, he was supposed to John Peters liked him so much in this movie, he insisted that Knox stay alive. And of course, the character was never seen again in any form of Batman media. So apparently the people did not agree with him. Robert Wuhl, before this, his previous appearance was in an episode of Tales from the Crypt, which is not too bad. I like that show. And then he went on to star in something, or at least appear in something called Wedding Band straight after, which is the plot synopsis is Marshall is a wedding singer who can play 73 songs and loves his job. Carla is a wedding planner who loves him, but wants him to grow up and settle down with her. He refuses, and she breaks up with him. Regretful, he tries to win her back. Now, you might sound like that sounds like a great movie, but it got 3 out of 10 on IMDb, so not so much. So
It also sounds like a million movies I've seen already.
Totally. Yeah. I don't think Robert Wuhl was even the main character. I think he was he's just credited as waiter. So
Wait, he went from Batman to playing a waiter in that movie.
apparently,
The Wedding Band.
unless the waiter was like one of the main characters, and he only ever went by waiter. But I guess they did that in It's Always Sunny, though, where they got the waitress. So she's still, no one knows her name, but
Are you sure it wasn't Walter and you just read it too fast?
yeah. And I guess about 10 years later, thereabouts, he gets Arliss, quite successful HBO show, and then that's gonna. Robert Wuhl's reputation saved a little bit of like, he had a big hit show that he was the star, and I believe he was the creator of Arliss as well. So
Yeah, he made it.
and then we went on to be too damn good to come on a podcast about Batman, apparently. But
Well, I mean, he did have a hit HBO show.
yeah,
But he doesn't have a hit podcast, so who's laughing now?
well, apparently he does have a hit podcast as well. That's what he's currently doing, is hosting a podcast. But
Is he?
yeah, apparently
So is
so.
everybody.
You never told me this, Niall. Shut up.
You know, my big regret about this minute is that New Jersey's own Tracy Walter isn't in it.
Oh, we
That's
miss him every minute
Bob
he's
the
not in the
Goon.
movie.
We had a lot of celebration of Bob the Goon. Like the episode that he died, it was like a wake in here. Like everyone was so sad that we had to say goodbye to Bob.
Did
I'm
you guys
still
talk about the
drowning
Bob?
my sorrows.
Sorry, I'm talking over you. Did you guys have the Bob the Goon action figure when you were kids?
No, but I've looked into it on eBay,
Oh,
and
my
you can get it.
God.
You can get it for dead cheap, but a lot of it's without the hat, and it's like, oh, well, he needs the hat.
No, you need the hat.
Yeah, it's like, well, no, like I think ones with a hat you can get them shipped from the U.S., but it'd be like 70 quid for postage. I was like, well, I don't want it that much, So,
I sense a birthday present.
yeah, but you're willing to splash out for that postage, John. By all means, go right ahead.
Or if people would like to contribute, you can send us money on Patreon.
That should be. We should have just set up a Patreon page just to get that Bob the Goon thing. I'd be like, that's all we want. Like,
You can fund the purchase of a Bob the Goon toy for the Batminute HQ.
I was like, well, what do we get in return? Oh yeah, I have to give something back. What?
You get the joy of hearing us be really happy on the air.
Yeah. Oh,
He
yeah.
just looks horrible without the hat. I'm looking at pictures of it right now.
Well, they give him a kind of comb over, don't they? They're like, oh, he doesn't have hair under that hat. It's like a bald,
Yeah, he's
big bald
straight
head.
up bald. And the power kick action.
Because
That's
he's famous for his kicks in this
right.
film.
I can't tell you how excited I get every time I see him would do one of his famous kicks in this movie.
He rivals Van Damme.
It is great though that like I think we put it up on like the Listener Society recently, like an advert for the Batman '89 like toy line, and the only toys they had beyond like the vehicles and stuff was Batman, the Joker, and Bob. It's like they only they were like he was so big in the toy makers' minds. They're like, oh yeah, that guy. Of course he gets a toy. And they're like, well, what about Vicki Vale? Oh no. Oh, what about Knox? Nope. Like, what about
No,
Commissioner Gordon? No.
Well, actually, I mean, think about it back then and the logic of the toy companies. Why would you make a Vicki Vale? Why would you make a Knox? I know now nerds like us would buy a Knox, but think about back then. They're trying to market that to kids. Kids aren't going to buy just some guy in a suit.
It'd be great if the advert had like the little kids going around going like, "Oh, investigative reporter Alexander Knox is on the scene." It's like, "Oh, hey, what's happening here?" And then just all the other toys just ignoring him and going off to play somewhere else.
I mean, kids don't want to buy toys of like district attorneys either.
Yeah. Well, it's also it's not like it's not like it's Star Wars where people are obsessed with every background character that you see for even a second. This was, it was a movie, just a regular.
What I really want now, though, is the campaign to get like a new toy line of '89 released, and have all these people, and then have a Mayor Borg toy, but he's got like as his accessories is like a hot dog and a balloon.
Yes.
That's his whole big thing. And it's just like, it's a completely useless mayor who we don't see after this movie because presumably this press conference is also announcing his impeachment for being so useless the entire damn movie.
I've just thought of something. Did we actually mention them turning the bat signal on?
No, I think we're still looming over that.
Oh, yeah, that happened. They turn it on and there's that music, but it's not the
There's
music.
a huge swell of music. It's lovely, uplifting.
Beyond the music, like I love that sound effect. That kind of... So they put on floodlights earlier in the movie, and that didn't get the real, like a real... Ooh, it's like that's a thing getting turned on right there. That was the most exciting part of the moment for me. It's like, oh, Christ, it's a really cool bit of sound that we use right there. But so then we do get the bat signal blazing up into the sky, and all the people turning to look, and we get a really triumphant bit of the Danny Elfman main theme comes in for a second there. I will mention, just because it's the introduction of the bat signal. The basic details of the bat signal was that it was introduced in Detective Comics number 60 in February of 1942, and it's credited as being created by Jack Schiff, George Roussos, and Jerry Robinson, who obviously went on. He was the creator of the Joker. Well, one of the creators of the Joker. George Roussos apparently used to work quite a bit with Jack Kirby over in Marvel quite early. He was very integral in the early days of the Fantastic Four. So there you get that. But there's a couple of different things about the bat signal, but we get to see it throughout. Not just the end of this movie, but like throughout several movies. So we'll splurge it all out just now.
Yeah, we've got to spread this over 4 years. This information.
But one of the things that is sort of said to be influential on it is once again the 1926 movie The Bat, which was just influential on the creation of Batman itself. It was a movie about people trapped in a house getting terrorized by a guy dressed up as a bat who was trying to steal some emeralds or something. And apparently he has a flashlight that has a little bat symbol on it that he uses to sort of signal his presence.
Stealing emeralds, just like Batman.
But if you do see the still of the little thing he shines in the wall, the flashlight, it's totally the bat signal. Like that's one of the things that's a credit to be like, well, that might have been where they got the idea. But there's another few things.
May have been potentially the same thing.
No, we made it big. Yeah, it's different.
But there are other little things about the bat signal that allegedly influenced it. But I'll leave that for another episode, I think. But so at the end of the minute, we do just get it blazing up in the sky, and that's the end of the action for the minute anyway.
If you can call it action, let's be honest.
No, I said this to you guys before we started recording, but like for a minute that doesn't have Batman or the Joker or anything like that, it is a cherry of a minute because you got Pat Hingle, you got Billy D. Williams, you got the bat signal. Like, I'm happy.
Yeah.
It is genuinely exciting when they turn the bat signal on, I'll be honest. I nerded out a little bit. I was like, oh, yeah.
This is good as well because you get Gordon turning it on because you always associate Commissioner Gordon, the bat signal, so he has to be the one to turn it on. But it's about like the closest thing that he does to like a truly Commissioner Gordon-esque thing for like the rest of these movies. Like after this now, that's the end of him. Like
he gave us a signal. Yeah, good chunk.
That's all he needs to do.
Yeah, but usually around this time of the minute we'd ask the guest if they have any personal history with the movie or anything they want to, with Batman in general. So do you remember like the first time you saw this, Ralph?
I saw it, I think, in theaters when I was a little. This was my introduction to Batman. Was this show? And then around that time, I think they started playing the old 60s Batman on Nick at Night or something, or one of those channels, and I would watch that, but it was always weird to me because I thought Batman wore black.
Yeah, I was exactly the same. I couldn't get into that old one until I was like in my 20s, I think.
Yeah,
and then it becomes fun again because you're like, there's like a roller coaster you go on with the 60s Batman because like when you're a kid, it's great because it's dumb and you don't know anything because you're dumb, you're a kid.
Yeah.
And then you get to be like a teenager, and you're like you're too cool for that because like you're 13 now, and Batman should be edgy and dark like you are inside. And then and then you hit your 20s, and all of a sudden it becomes fun again. Like you get a sense of humor about it, and it's it's a bunch of like respected actors for their time being really, really dopey.
I think there's a lot of a misconceptualization with people as well, because I know for a while I even thought like, oh, it's campy and it's silly because at the time they didn't know better. But if you actually watch it, it's like, oh no, they're in on the joke. Like they entirely know that this is ridiculous and they're playing up to it. Like they'll have scenes of like Bruce Wayne like talking to Batman on the phone in front of the police commissioner, where he's using the same voice for both roles, and he completely like Gordon's like, "Yep, that was a conversation between Bruce Wayne and Batman," and never twigs it's the same friggin' guy.
If you think that Burgess Meredith was unaware of what he was doing on that show as the Penguin was meant to be camp, like there's no way. The only person who's playing it dead straight the entire time is. Now I'm going to blank on his name, and I friggin' love him. The guy who played the Riddler.
Frank Gorshin.
Frank Gorshin, who I met around the time he was doing a one-man show about the life of George Burns after George Burns died.
Oh, cool.
But, he's magnificent in that. Like, he could have played the Riddler in a straight, serious version of Batman, because he's so intense and so unhinged.
Yeah, he really left his mark on the character, too, because he still do, even in Batman Forever, like, people will say, oh, that's Jim Carrey just being Jim Carrey, but I'd be like, no, that's Jim Carrey going, I'm
being
doing
Frank
the Frank
Gorshin,
Gorshin. Yeah, so that's his interpretation, like, that's the Riddler I know, so that's what I'm going for.
Yeah, I find it hard to accept any other sort of presentation of the Riddler now, which is bad, because, I do like it normally when they change characters up and, have differences between the versions. But the Riddler, I always want him to be like that. I don't know why.
He did a great job. And then when John Astin steps in for a couple of episodes, it's just sort of like, why is this happening?
And I love him too. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah. He also and I do too. But like, it's that big mustache, and he's so cheesy, and he doesn't have as good a body for the spandex.
No.
But yeah, so like, are you still are you still sold on Batman, or was it a thing like you used to like when you were a kid and you're not too fussed about it now, or?
I was super, super into Batman until probably around the time that he died, and then did Quantum Leap, and then came back. And then the Joker cut his own face off for a while, but then he like belted it to his head, and I just sort of lost interest. I'm still like, I'll go see a. Nope. I was just about to say I'll go see a Batman movie, and then I thought about it, and I was like, currently, no, I don't.
Yeah.
I don't.
So what about like the Nolan films? Are you like involved? Were you into those?
Oh, I loved
like...
them.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I'm also one of the few people who likes Dark Knight Rises, even though it's pretty dumb.
Controversy, get out.
Yeah, no, I'll watch it.
Yeah, it blew my mind. No, actually, to be honest, I think you like it, don't you, Niall? You thought the movie was pretty good.
I'll defend it on certain levels. There's other things I can't deny, but like, oh yeah, that is stupid and stuff, and I wouldn't have done that. But yeah, I defend it for like a movie to end that trilogy as them going like, this is the end of my story, and I'm done with Batman. That's like, well, I guess it's a good enough film in that regard. I just had a problem in the fact that the first two, he's setting up so much that like, this is the beginning of the Batman you know. So you're getting little allusions to the future and stuff, and like him and the Joker saying like, you and I will be doing this forever. And at the time, you're like, yes, because it's gonna be years and stuff of like these two guys doing this. And then you find out like, nope, he took 8 years off, and then he has one more adventure, and then he's done. And it's like, I didn't get that. Yeah, I didn't get that at all. Particularly the first one, you're really getting like, this is the beginning of all the batarangs, here's the grappling hook, it's the beginning of Batman, he'll be around for years, you'll get to see Clayface and all the crazy stuff. And then it's like, no, just three movies, and he was definitively out.
Now, you know what? You're right. I don't like that movie.
Hey, we've won.
I should ask as well, though, because I can imagine though, because Batman's such a drastically huge character. Like within the show, Cake Boss, have you ever had to do anything Batman based or anything, or like someone coming in want like a cake in the shape of the symbol, or?
Yeah, I don't think we've done one on the show. We've definitely done things for like customers that were Batman like, but we haven't done anything on the show that was like actually Batman. You know, it's tough because there's all kinds of we can't just do whatever we want because people own the rights to things. And, you know, like people will come in and they'll be like, "Can you do this?" And we'll be like, "Well, honestly, no," because then we'd have to pay Warner Brothers.
I hadn't even considered that. Oh crap!
I love imagine like if you got someone's ordered a cake crafted in the shape of Alexander Knox. And it's just looking down, it's like order attributed to R. Wool. Oh, that's what's weird to see.
Yeah, no, I don't think anyone would have a problem with that. I don't think there's any watchdogs over at DC being like, "I'm gonna make sure no unlicensed Knox crap comes out."
I'm gonna start a company making Knox T-shirts, all kinds of Knox branded things.
Just a bunch of Knox-offs.
Whoa!
I'm not proud of that.
That could be the company name. Knocks off.
That's it. Now we've got a functional Patreon campaign going earlier, and now an entirely new company to set up. Now it's been such a profitable minute.
We're diversifying our portfolio, Niall.
It's like a niche within a niche. It's a crevice market. That's tight.
But yeah, like, I think I'm done for this minute. If you guys, you have anything else you want to chuck in, or?
I'm good.
I just wanted to say before we went, my favourite part of the minute, which I never mentioned, is the way Vicki grabs Knox's face, and it's sort of akin to a punch on the arm and a see ya sport. Like she completely friend zones him.
Yeah.
It's like a so long kid kind of moment.
And it's done so effortlessly.
Yeah, it's the look she gives him as well. Because the part he does, like, "Oh, what about us?" and gives himself an eye roll. But then the fact that he's so like, "Oh, what about your picture of Batman?" Like he's desperate to keep her there, and she does kind of give him a little like a head tilt and a little like, "Look, yeah, all right, like I can see you want me around, but no." Like it is a very condescending look. Like he's kind of been put in this corner of like, "No, like this is just over. Sorry,
This is the
see
end.
ya. Yeah, sorry, not sorry, but I'm done."
She shouldn't have to apologize though. Like, ooh. She hasn't really given him any indication that anything there is going to happen.
Not once.
No.
Never. Well, before we head off into the dark, dark, dark night, Ralph, would you like to tell our good listeners where they can find you online if they want to get in touch or check out anything you're up to?
Oh, sure. I have a little chocolate sculpting series of videos on YouTube. If you go to Cake House on YouTube, that's the channel, and my videos are there. It's Cake House, like where a house, like where cake would live.
Yeah, of course.
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at CakeBossRalph. Yeah, that's it.
And you can find us at batcake.com, where we will make all kinds of Alexander Knox and Batman. The two have to be together on the cake. You can have Batman and Knox. You can't have one or the other.
They never share a scene, but they have to be on the cake. They have to.
Our two favourites on the cake together. And we are also on Facebook at the Batminute 89 Listeners Society.
We're also on Patreon at Buy Us Bob. That's the new Patreon we're starting.
Send us a tweet at Batminute 89. And I say this sometimes, I usually forget. Give us a review on iTunes, please. It'd be nice. You'd be a lovely person, and Ralph would also appreciate it, wouldn't you? If you sent us a review.
Listen, if you liked this episode, tell your friends about the show. It doesn't cost you anything.
Yet.
I mean, tell them.
We are not monetizing anything, but yes, tell everyone, tell everybody. And Niall, what day is this episode going out? I'm so confused with the recording schedule.
This is Wednesdays. This
is Wednesday.
Episodes, yeah.
So join us again. We'll be back on Friday. We will have another episode, and we will end the week and with a new guest. Sadly, Ralph won't be here, but there will be more exciting fun. See you then.
Next time, Vicki vanishes. While a bat-based beacon burns bright, a girl walks home alone at night. But which senile chauffeur is shifting in the shadows? Find out on Friday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.